What's going on, guys? Lyrics here. I'm back bringing you today another video, and in this one we're going to be introducing a new series to the channel, my first actual proper coaching series, so something I'm super excited about. And what we're going to be doing is essentially breaking down skill moves but in a lot more detail than normal. You know, a lot of people, they drop a skill move tutorial, they show the skill move, give you a couple examples, and pretty much just leave you on your own to, I guess, figure it out and try to implement it into your game. Look no further here, man. I'm doing all the work for you. I'm going to show you why the skill move is effective, the situations that you want to use it in, and I'm even going to throw in how to defend the skill move. So yeah, like I say, man, something I'm super excited about. And we're starting off with no other than the Stepover, the most probably meta skill move in this game, the most effective one, 100%. And yeah, I can't wait to get into this. Let's get started. So first things first, before we get into any game clips, I need to teach you guys how to actually do the skill move. So very simple one. All you want to do is start with your right stick directly in front of you. So for the example that we're using in the arena, that will be 3 o'clock. And what you're going to want to do is rotate your right stick up to either 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. What this is going to do is trigger a series of stepovers, which on its own is pretty ineffective. However, when you do throw in a different variation, this is when the skill move really excels. To trigger this animation, you want to start off with your typical stepovers, how I'll be sprinting while doing it. And once the animation begins and you're ready to do your speed boost, you want to point your left stick in the direction that you want to go. So for this example, it would be pointing your left stick at 3 o'clock. I think a common mistake that a lot of people make with this skill move is pushing the left stick a little bit too early, so make sure you see the stepover animation trigger before you do that. The other variations of the stepover involve triggering the animation but then choosing which way you exit with the left stick. For the sake of this video, the only ones we're going to be concentrating on are the diagonal ones. And with the diagonal forward stepover, there's 2 different variations you can get, one of them being far superior, so make sure you guys pay attention to this part. So starting off with a better variation, what you want to do is start off with your right stick at 3 o'clock and rotate it up to 12 o'clock. While also pushing your left stick to the direction that you want to exit. So in this scenario right here, we want to push that up between 1 and 2 o'clock. Make sure you're not sprinting during this one, as it'll make the skill move a little less under control. And here's the second variation. You do this one by starting with your right stick at 3 o'clock and rotating it down to 6 o'clock, while also putting your left stick between 4 and 5 o'clock. The biggest difference you'll probably notice between this one and the first one is that it opens up the exit a lot more wider, which leaves you a lot more susceptible to getting tackled. Another great thing about the first one is the way that your player places his body, you can use it to cut across defenders, therefore shielding the ball and stopping defenders from being able to get a tackle in. The most difficult part about mastering this part of the stepover is knowing which direction you want to start your stepover in, depending on which angle you're facing. My biggest advice to you guys would be to not get discouraged and put the time in, be that in arena, foot champs, rivals, whatever. As someone that's been doing this skill move for almost 2 years now, I still mess it up on occasion. So in order to truly master a skill move, I feel like you need to first understand what actually makes it effective in the game, to be able to understand, what situations to use it in and why it's actually working, why it didn't work in this situation, why it worked in that situation. So yeah, I'm pretty much just going to run through a few things that make the stepover so effective. So first things first is the speed boost. And obviously coming into FIFA 23 from FIFA 22, where speed boosting was absolutely running rampant, you could do it with any player, pretty much any situation. You could LB it, you didn't even need to charge it up, you can just run. Super effective way of moving around the pitch and winning 1v1 situations. Moving on to FIFA 23, that's been massively nerfed, so I feel like stepovers is pretty much the only real way to take on a defender in this game. Next up is versatility, and I feel like every great skill move in FIFA kind of has this counter move to it which stops it from being predictable. For example, the drag back dominated FIFA for so many years, and why was that? It was because even if you predicted the skill move, you didn't necessarily know which way the guy was going to exit, which makes it just a nightmare to defend for the defenders, and the stepover has this. For example, you can be destroying your defender with a straight line stepover boost for the entire game, and just when he thinks he's got you figured out, you hit him with a diagonal backwards and he's completely out of the game. Another reason the stepover is so effective is it's not just limited to a finishing move like something like the elastico or the reverse elastico. You can also use it in build up to break passing lanes, which is super effective with being able to control which way you exit. And then of course it has that little bit of glitchiness to it which allows you to crab defenders. And what I mean by crabbing is essentially you stop the defender from being able to get past you and pretty much just keep him on your back, which is why it's got the name crab. My favourite way to use the stepover is by baiting passes in order to take the space in front of me. For example, if I was to pass the ball into one of my strikers and the other one is free, the defender will be a little bit hesitant on my first touch, giving me the time and space to just perform the stepover boost forward and get a shot off normally. This is also super effective with your winger, as your opponent's often going to prioritize marking the pass inside. Another great situation to use the stepover is in 1v1 scenarios. For example, if you can ever make the defender jockey towards his own goal and pretty much guess which way you're going to go, if you have the right player, for example Cristiano Ronaldo, you can easily boost past him and get one-on-one with the keeper. I actually have a clip here when I'm the defender and I'm in that sort of situation, and it's not necessarily that I defended badly, but just a little bit too passive, and the skill move is so overpowered that Cristiano Ronaldo literally just destroys me. Another way I like to use the stepovers is kind of sneaking around corners. For example, if I was to pass to my striker in the box and turn, you know, up or down, whichever way the defender is not marking, and just boost into the open space, there's no way that he can actually catch me. Again, as I mentioned earlier though, this technique is a little bit advanced, so you do need to learn which foot to start the step over with in order to get that smooth animation. And this is a move that I like to use all around the pitch, even in build up with my fullbacks, with my wingers, whichever situation, it doesn't matter. So expanding on the versatility from earlier, as you get a little bit more comfortable with the skill move, you can get super creative with it. For example, instead of step over boosting down the wing to take on the defender, you can then step over boost inside as the defender's anticipating that and hit something like a Trivela shot. I also like to use this on the side of the box when driving towards the byline, as the defender often anticipates you going line, which enables you to just come back diagonally backwards and pretty much just find open cutbacks. I'm going to give you one last advanced trick to use, which is something that not a lot of people do actually, and that is using the step over boost to bait a player switch. And what do I mean by this? It's essentially doing a skill move into a player that isn't controlled by your opponent in order to bait him into player switch into that player and try and tackle you. However, because we're anticipating the player switch already, it's pretty easy to win the 1v1 situation and then create an advantage for us. Now, this doesn't necessarily need to be a goal. It can be as simple as, you know, breaking a passing lane, getting a pass into our centre midfielder, and then just creating space all around the pitch. I feel like an important question we need to answer is this skill move effective against AI defenders? And I'd say yes and no. It's a little bit iffy, I'm not going to lie. And at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to the space at hand. For example, if you're just going to do the skill move into an AI defender, it's going to be as simple as him just LB switching and tackling you. However, if there is actually space to go into, and for whatever reason the AI defender's not tight to you, he's not second man pressing, something like that, you will be able to boost into that space, and by the time he player switches, it will be too late, and you can easily get goals off of this. And last but not least, how do we defend against this overpowered skill moves? I feel like that's a super important part about learning a skill, is how do you actually stop it, so then you can, I guess, figure out ways to work around that. You know what I'm saying? Step over is best after that initial turn, so if you can get tight to your attacker and not let him face you up, then you're pretty much already indirectly stopping him doing it. So aggression is key, and make sure you guys are hitting that tackle button, otherwise you're never going to win the ball. He's always going to be able to recycle it and eventually get you in a scenario where he has got you. Another great way to stop it is by sending your opponent inside when he receives the ball on the wing. This of course does leave you susceptible in the middle, so make sure you player switch quickly and second man press when you leave. I feel like these first two kind of go hand in hand, so if you can master these techniques, you become a defensive stopper. Then I think the last technique all comes down to anticipation. This will be in a scenario where he passes the ball into his striker inside the box and you need to make a last ditch tackle. And instead of switching to the player and approaching him head on, you're going to want to run into the space that he will step over boost into in order to beat him there. If you try to approach him head on and he has a player like Haaland, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo, someone like that, he's just going to speed boost right past you and score an easy goal. And that is pretty much the end of the video. I'm sure you guys are sick and tired of hearing the word step over at this point in the video. But if you do have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I will make sure I answer. And also let me know which skill move you want me to break down next in episode 2. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.